family coming home from vacation and then going to bed, but when they woke up, they found something disturbing on their front porch.
Butte will soon get to see the final plan for its Superfund cleanup, but one city official wants to take a closer look before approving it.
6:30 on this Wednesday. Jen Lehman, Missy O'Malley, Matt Elwell with you. We'll have those stories from Cody and John in a moment. Meantime, yeah.
Starting off to be a nice day so far.
We've avoided January for all of January
so far. And I think for the most part today is going to be pretty typical of what we've had this week. Into the 30s, maybe low 40s, a couple of snowflakes here and there, and then
back to January.
Yep, that's right. Right now, temperatures into the 30s, a couple of 20s. Pretty comfortable start to the day, all things considered. And maybe a few light snow showers through the afternoon and parts of the evening, but it does look like our temperatures are really going to start to fall as you head into the late part of the week this week, and an Arctic blast on the way early next week. We're going to break it all down for you coming up in just a few minutes.
Arctic blast, doesn't that just sound fun and exciting?
Oh yes, it leaves me all a quiver.
It takes you right back to fall. That's right, that's right. Our top story for you now, a house in Bozeman is the target of vandalism and possible arson.
MTN's Cody Boyer has details of the incident.
Hours after John and Heather Brittington had returned home here to 7th Street near Cooper Park, they didn't expect to wake up the next morning to see their American flag burned, charred, and torn apart.
To display a symbol of national pride on your front porch isn't something that you should have to think twice about.
Heather Brittington asked to not be on camera, but she showed me what was left of her and her husband John's American flag tattered in a bag. She says it was the first thing she saw Saturday morning.
Pretty scary for the homeowners involved. I think anybody would feel that way if they found that their property had been set on fire in the middle of the night.
Captain Dana McNeil with the Bozeman Police Department says that wasn't all.
There was a delivery, and that those deliveries also went missing. So we think that sometime between that delivery and the flag getting burned, that's when it occurred.
2 packages, even the home's motion lights, all swiped, all while the Brittingtons slept inside, a fact McNeil has words for.
Very cowardly act for somebody to come in under the cover of darkness and set fire to something of yours, whether it's for political reasons or whatever.
McNeil adds, while porch thieves aren't uncommon, this is something else.
Arson is one of the things that we would be looking at in this case. I cannot recall in my memory the burning of a flag on somebody else's property in my tenure, 15 years or so.
Heather says she now feels violated in her own home, something McNeil agrees is the opposite of what an American flag should stand for.
We try and give people that sense of security so that they can have their freedom. You don't feel safe, you don't feel free.
Again, any leads or any tips from those who live in this community, they say could go a long way to helping them find the culprit. In Bozeman, Cody Boyer, MTN News.
Now the Brittingtons have bought another flag in the meantime. They plan on putting it up soon.
In other news this morning, last week we took you back to a Bozeman roundabout that had some people concerned that it was maybe falling apart.
Yesterday, crews responded with some big equipment. The $3.5 million Ferguson Roundabout was reopened in the middle of construction to allow traffic to pass through during the winter season. However, the single layer of asphalt deteriorated, causing large potholes, and Bozeman City crews eventually helped them out with a steamroller and other large equipment, and this is at least temporary.
Just remember, it's still a construction zone, so slow down. We'll get the potholes taken care of, but in the meantime, go slow and take it easy through it.
Now that project is expected to be completed by this coming spring.
We teased it a little bit earlier. The city of Butte ready to take another step forward for the next phase of Superfund cleanup.
But one member of the city commission is saying not so fast. MTN's John Amy has our latest.
The final plan for the cleanup of mine waste in Butte is expected to be brought before the Council of Commissioners in the coming weeks. But one commissioner believes the city should get experts to look at it before approving it.
Let's cross our T's and dot our I's. This is it. This is the final roll.
The consent decree is a cleanup plan for Butte that has been decades in the making through closed negotiations involving the Atlantic Richfield Company, the EPA, and other agencies. The document is expected to be more than 1,000 pages long.
There's a lot of information in it, and I understand maybe the first few pages are going to be a lot of acronyms, and a lot of people can't even spell acronym, let alone understand what they're going to say. So.
Fisher proposes hiring a firm with experience in environmental law to review the document before the council votes to approve it.
Let's face it, we don't know what's in the consent decree. We don't know what agreements have been made. But when this is done and over, ARCO BP is done. As they would say, they're off the hook.
Once the consent decree is handed over to the Council of Commissioners, this will be the first time anyone outside the negotiators has got a chance to see the final cleanup plan.
And there's just a lot of things right now, that aren't resolved, the water quality issue is not resolved. But yet they want to send a consent decree to the 12 commissioners of Butte Silver Bow and say, sign here. I'm not sure I'm ready for that.
In Butte, John Amy, MTN News.
Now, the commissioners are expected to get the consent decree by late January or early February, and a public hearing will also be held for anyone who would like to see that plan.
Staying in the mining city, Butte's chief executive plans to make a run for a second term this year.
Dave Palmer said he will file this week to try to win a second four-year term as chief executive of Butte Silver Bow. Palmer won his first term in 2016 by defeating incumbent Matt Vincent. Palmer says that he wants to run again because there's more work to be done.
I think the morale is up in Butte Silver Bow right now, and we have a good team in place. And like I said, it takes a long time to get anything accomplished, but I think we're on the right track.
Now, the date to begin filing for public office in Butte will be this Thursday, and it will remain open until March 9th.
In other statewide headlines this morning, after nearly 8 years, Montana Department of Fish, Wildlife and Parks has set the parameters for the possibility of restoring publicly managed bison herds.
The ruling means that Fish, Wildlife and Parks is open to the possible bison reintroduction efforts in certain parts of the state, but any reintroduction must be properly evaluated, considering its impact on stakeholders, including landowners and nearby communities, and that it follows all state laws.
Proposals would also have to undergo a site-specific environmental impact study and public review process. Officials say that even the smallest projects could take months or years to approve.
And Montana's Republican Senator Steve Daines says if the Senate doesn't get articles of impeachment from the House by this weekend, it should be able to dismiss them without a trial.
Daines is co-sponsoring a resolution this week that says if impeachment articles aren't transmitted to the Senate within 25 days of being adopted by the House, the Senate can vote to dismiss them. Senator Daines is calling the impeachment a rigged process, says House Democrats are getting cold feet on the proceeding. Republican U.S. Senator John Barrasso of Wyoming, also a sponsor of this legislation. Well, 2020 is the year you decide to redo the basement or fix things around the house.
And whatever it is, buying or even renting tools can be pretty pricey.
Now there's cities across the country helping you save money by opening up what they call tool libraries. Annie Taylor has the story.
It's like a book library, but instead of books, we have power tools, hand tools, lawn and garden stuff.
Tool libraries are popping up in cities across the country, like Seattle and Berkeley.
Today I specifically needed a miter saw for like 15 to 20 minutes, so I didn't want to buy one.
Sam in Cardona is redoing his basement, and like most of us, doesn't need a power tool on the regular. And renting from a big box home improvement store can run a do-it-yourselfer $50. That's why he became a member at the Tool Library, even given a library card and all.
It's $100, you're a member for a year, and during that year you can borrow any of the tools that you want.
That miter saw Sam checked out for next to nothing.
I can rent, 5 tools a day, every day.
Would have cost him over $100 if he bought it brand new. Just like a regular library, some tools are brand new, but others come from people who donate used tools.
If you've just bought your first home, money's tight, it's great to be able to cut costs where you can.
I'm Annie Taylor reporting.
See you, Sam.
Now, not every tool library membership is $100 a year. After doing some digging, we found that some were only $50 and others that don't have memberships. You rent the tool individually, but for way cheaper than actually buying it.
That's pretty cool.
It is a cool idea.
And it's a great idea because you might not need them in the long run.
We've been doing that in our neighborhood. We just loan them to each other.
Yeah,
I need to get that back too, Matt.
Yeah, Matt. Now, if you want to be able to float the Smith River this summer, Listen up.
Montana Department of Fish, Wildlife, and Parks accepting applications for the 2020 Smith Float Lottery. That's until February 13th. $10 application fee.
Now you can apply online or at any Fish, Wildlife, and Parks office. Up to 15 people can float on a single permit if you are chosen. Float launch dates will be between May and July 15th. Permit winners will be drawn on March 2nd, so good luck.
It's a pretty phenomenal thing from what I understand.
I've never done it.
Would love to do that. It is a bucket list.
Matt's done it.
It'll be fun.
Oh, Matt hasn't done it?
Nope.
Okay, well maybe we'll add it on to the list of...
But if anybody gets it,
You'll
right
go
here.
on?
This guy wants to
All right.
go.
There you
Okay.
go.
Well, there
you got
you
3 to come along. We'll help you pack.
Apparently these guys are good cooks, so there we go. It is time for a quick break. In just a moment, we have that devastating news of the Boeing 737-800 plane crashing shortly after takeoff, killing all 176 people on board. When we return, we have the latest from the airport in Tehran, Iran.
Also, what's coming up on CBS this morning at 7 o'clock?
Good morning to you. Ahead on CBS this morning, Iran attacks U.S. forces on 2 bases in Iraq. We'll have the latest on a potential response from us and the risk to our troops. The former Joint Chiefs of Staff Vice Chairman and former CIA Deputy Director will join us to discuss. Plus, David Begnaud, he's in Puerto Rico. He's got a first-hand look at the earthquake devastation there. He'll talk to some survivors. And how exercise, no matter how small, can change the chemistry of your brain. And the experts say that makes you more what? Resilient. We like that. We'll see you at 7 o'clock.